the man who founded Microsoft has spent the last year quietly selling off billions of dollars of Microsoft stock. At the same time, Elon Musk just launched an AI platform and named it after Microsoft as a joke. Those two facts are more connected than they look. On March 11, 2026, Elon Musk unveiled a joint project between Tesla and his AI startup, xAI. He called it Macrohard, also known as Digital Optimus, and his description of what it does is worth quoting directly. In principle, it is capable of emulating the function of entire companies. That is why the program is called Macrohard. A funny reference to Microsoft. Not products, not features, entire companies. So what is it? Technically, Macrohard pairs two systems working in tandem. xAI's Grok large language model acts as the high-level navigator, the part that reasons, plans, and decides what needs to happen next. A Tesla-developed AI agent handles execution, processing real-time computer screen, video, and keyboard and mouse actions to actually carry out those decisions. Musk described Grok as the master conductor, navigator, while Tesla's agent handles what he called the fast, instinctive execution layer. The analogy Musk used is revealing. He compared it to how Tesla's full self-driving works on roads, processing live video to make real-time decisions. Except, instead of navigating traffic, this system navigates software, spreadsheets, code editors, customer service platforms, and enterprise dashboards. Any interface a human employee would use. No special integrations required. The AI watches the screen and operates the keyboard and mouse the way a person would. At the xAI all-hands meeting in February, Toby Pollan, the engineer initially tapped to lead the project, told colleagues that Macrohard is able to do anything on a computer that a computer is able to do. He added, "There should be rocket engines fully designed by AI. That is the scale of what's being claimed here, and the hardware approach is just as significant." Macrohard runs primarily on Tesla's in-house AI4 chip, with NVIDIA-powered servers from xAI used only when necessary. The pitch is cost efficiency at a scale that traditional enterprise software simply cannot match. Tesla plans to deploy Digital Optimus units at scale across its supercharger network, millions of dedicated units at charging stations, leveraging approximately 7 gigawatts of power infrastructure that Tesla has already built at those sites. 7 gigawatts. For context, all data centers across the United States currently consume somewhere between 40 and 55 gigawatts combined. Tesla is building a distributed AI compute network using infrastructure it already owns, at locations it already operates, using hardware it already manufactures. That's not a data center build. That's a different model entirely, and it's a model Microsoft cannot replicate. Microsoft's Azure cloud dominance is built on centralized infrastructure, massive data centers, enormous capital expenditures, and a model where enterprise clients pay to access that centralized compute. Macrohard's architecture is the opposite: cheap, distributed, hardware efficient, and designed to run on parked cars and charging stations rather than in server farms. The financial architecture behind this is locked in. Tesla committed a $2 billion investment in xAI in January 2026. Shortly after, SpaceX acquired xAI in an all-stock deal that valued xAI at $250 billion, with Musk explicitly citing orbital data centers as a primary reason for the merger. Starlink satellites, Tesla hardware at supercharger stations, xAI's Grok reasoning engine, and now Macrohard's execution layer. It is, as one analyst put it, a rocket company, a satellite internet provider, an AI lab, a car company, and a white-collar automation platform, all ultimately controlled by one person. The name Macrohard isn't just a joke, it's a strategic declaration. xAI filed the trademark in August 2025, and the competitive intent was never disguised. Musk had already telegraphed this in August 2025 when he posted publicly that OpenAI is going to eat Microsoft alive. Satya Nadella responded playfully, "People have been trying for 50 years, and that's the fun of it." He added that he was looking forward to Grok on Azure. That response, inviting Musk's model onto Microsoft's own cloud platform, was meant to signal confidence, but it also revealed something important. Microsoft's strategy for surviving AI disruption depends heavily on being the infrastructure that hosts every competitor, including xAI. Macrohard directly challenges that strategy. If an AI agent can navigate any software interface on any hardware without specialized enterprise software, the entire premise of Microsoft's business model starts to erode. You don't need a Microsoft 365 subscription if an agent can operate any document editor. You don't need Azure Copilot if an agent can navigate any enterprise platform autonomously, the software layer becomes optional. And that is precisely what Musk said Macrohard is designed to do: simulate entire software companies, not integrate with them. The Microsoft competitor framing goes even deeper. Earlier plans for Macrohard described a full-stack platform challenge, an AI-native operating system for agents, a hardware ecosystem managed through OEM partners, similar to how Apple defines product requirements and outsources manufacturing, and potentially a Windows-style licensing model. The name isn't just a taunt, it's an organizational identity built around displacing Microsoft as the dominant software platform. Microsoft's stock is down more than 20% from its all-time high as of April 2026, one of the worst performers among major AI players, despite reporting revenue of $81.3 billion in its fiscal second quarter, up 17% year over year. The problem isn't revenue. The problem is what it's costing to generate it. Capital expenditures hit $37.5 billion in a single quarter, a 66% jump year over year, and the company is on pace for $110 to $120 billion in total capex for fiscal year 2026. Microsoft launched its first voluntary employee buyout program in 51 years, targeting roughly 7% of its U.S. workforce. The stock dropped 4% on that announcement alone. Underneath those numbers is a more structural concern. OpenAI, Microsoft's most important AI partner, accounts for 45% of Microsoft's remaining cloud backlog, and roughly $280 billion in projected future revenue is tied to a single, unprofitable startup. Analysts have noted that if OpenAI loses ground to Google's Gemini or to open-source models, Microsoft is holding the bag for a partnership that cost it billions and delivered a dependency rather than a moat. Microsoft also faces an admission it can't easily walk back. Satya Nadella told investors that its current cloud infrastructure was built with technology insufficient for advanced AI systems. That's why the capex is exploding. Microsoft is rebuilding its own infrastructure mid-flight, spending at historic rates, laying off workers to fund it, and hoping the AI revenue catches up before investors lose patience. That is the company Musk named his software killer after. Not in its prime, but at one of the most financially strained and strategically vulnerable moments in its recent history. Gates co-founded Microsoft in 1975. At the time of its IPO in 1986, he owned 45% of the company. Today, through the Gates Foundation Trust, he holds under 1%, and in Q3 2025, the foundation sold approximately 65% of its Microsoft position in a single quarter, reducing a stake worth nearly $14 billion down to roughly $4.76 billion. That divestment pushed Microsoft from the foundation's largest holding to its fourth. Analysts largely attributed the move to portfolio rebalancing and charitable liquidity needs. But the timing, the largest single reduction of Microsoft stock by Gates in years, happening exactly as agentic AI competition intensified, is not a detail to ignore. Gates is no longer on Microsoft's board. He doesn't run the company, but he built its entire foundational premise: that knowledge workers need dedicated software platforms to do their jobs, and that whoever controls those platforms controls the enterprise. That premise is what Macrohard directly attacks, and in his January 2026 annual letter, Gates acknowledged the stakes plainly. Of all the things humans have ever created, AI will change society the most. He said AI already makes software developers at least twice as efficient, and that the disruption is spreading beyond coding into warehouse work, phone support, and beyond. He wrote that society should use 2026 to prepare for what's coming, including potentially moving to a shorter work week rather than accepting mass unemployment. That's not the language of someone who thinks legacy software businesses are safe. Gates knows what this technology is capable of. He watched OpenAI prove that AI could redefine software development. He has written publicly that AI will exceed human intelligence without hitting a ceiling. And now Musk has built a platform explicitly designed to replace what software companies do, including the one Gates spent his career building. Gates hasn't commented publicly on Macrohard, but the sell-down, the annual letter, and the complete absence of any reassurance about Microsoft's competitive position tell you more than a quote would. None of this means Macrohard will succeed. That needs to be said clearly. The project has already had real turbulence. 2 Macrohard leaders left xAI in February 2026. Musk then announced that xAI.co founder Toby Pollan would oversee the project, and Pollan announced his exit just 16 days later. Business Insider reported that the Tesla engineering team was essentially brought in to rescue a project that had stalled internally. Across nearly 24 xAI engineers tracked on LinkedIn and X, most have either left the company or shifted to different teams. Musk's history of ambitious timelines that slip is also well documented. The claim that Macrohard can emulate entire companies is exactly the kind of statement that sounds transformative in a product announcement and becomes a liability when the product ships 6 months late or underperforms. And Microsoft, for all its current pressure, is not standing still. Azure grew 39% year over year. Its commercial backlog has more than doubled to $625 billion. Satya Nadella has navigated tougher pivots, from the Windows First era to the cloud era to the AI era, and the company has a track record of absorbing competitive threats and adapting. The honest picture here is that Macrohard is a credible, funded, strategically coherent threat to how software businesses are structured. It is not yet a proven product. The gap between those two things is where the next 12 months will play out. The software industry's fundamental business model, sell platforms, charge for seats, bolt on AI features, is under attack from multiple directions simultaneously. Anthropic, Google, Meta, and now Musk's Macrohard are all building toward the same destination. AI agents that can do what software enables humans to do, without the software, without the seat licenses, without the enterprise contracts. Microsoft knows this. That's why it's spending $110 billion on infrastructure in a single fiscal year. That's why it launched its first employee buyout in 5 decades. That's why it restructured its OpenAI partnership on the morning the Musk trial began. The company is moving fast, but it's moving to defend a model that its own biggest competitor just named a project to defeat. Bill Gates built that model. He sold $8 billion of it in a single quarter, and he's on record saying AI will change society more than any invention in human history. You don't have to read between those lines, the lines say it themselves.